If I showed you this Ekko ganking bottom lane at 5 minutes with 28 CS and a kill, would you be able to tell me exactly what he did and exactly what he will be doing next? In this video, I'm going to show you how to become a telepathic jungler. He used advanced jungle tracking and extrapolation to essentially make every jungler and their pathing as naked as Grump. It won't matter what champion you're playing, what champion you're facing, what kind of randomness you might face in your MMR. Welcome to the ultimate tracking guide detail, where you can learn everything you need to know in under 20 minutes. And as difficult as tracking can be, so too can be building the correct items when right changes everything. And for that, we have Mobalytics 2.0 itemization feature, designed to give you much more accurate data along with the meta, off-meta, and non-meta build paths, as well as detailed descriptions on adaptive itemization, very important when they're going around changing every single item. Additionally, you can have a look at what the best in the world and one tricks are doing from Korea and any other region to observe how they figure out the new tech on their champions. All of this updated and pushed live to the companion app where you can put it directly into your client, along with all of the pre-game tips, post-game tips, as well as in-game tips such as itemization notification, level spike awareness, tips on how to play your champion, how to counter the enemy team composition. So if you want to dominate on the best junglers in the best way with all of the best information and keep up to date with all of the new itemization changes as the meta develops, click the link in the description below to download Mobalytics today. Okay, so we're starting with Kayn on the Raptors here. This will be fluid and I will add animations and effects as we go. Guess the rank as we go through this, and you can tell me which one you think it is, and I'll reveal at the end what rank this game actually was. Now, the Kayn is going ahead and doing his Raptors. There was a level 1 first blood that occurred, but really is irrelevant to the nature of what we're doing. What we need to focus on here is the Kayn, because he is the protagonist for this session, and it was directly from a coaching session. I'm just re-breaking it down for YouTube. The Ekko now is going to basically go ahead and do his red. All we know from Kayn's perspective is that he started bottom side, he will most likely be pathing upside, and that's all we know. So as a jungler, whoever you are, you always have to ask yourself the following questions as a tracking fundamental savant. What's the enemy jungler going to do clear-wise? What might they want to be doing ganking-wise early? And how can I reconcile that with what I want to accomplish? At the same time, when they do show, ask what they have done and what you think they might do next based upon where they're pathing. Now, yes, what I've done is I've covered up the minimap on the red side, so you have no idea what exactly the Ekko is doing in terms of his clear. This is a nice ward right here from the enemy bot lane. They have shoved up. It's 245. Well, they would have, warded at 245 because the Ekko, it's possible he goes red, wrapped his Krugs, and comes in down here. A lane at this level should be aware of these things. He's choosing a slower clear by doing the Raptors red Krugs, but it will allow him then to go Wolves, Grump, and have that nice respawn of the Krugs, Raptors, Wolves, Grump, if nothing shows up on the map, right? You also can flex into the river, look for a gank, and if there's nothing, go back to this one that will respawn around 355, and then obviously into the subsequent spawn timer of the Krugs. The benefit of this is as follows. When someone does a camp, let's just say they're doing a blue buff, and they do the Grump right afterwards, that Grump will spawn at around 4 minutes 20. The next camp that they do, maybe it's the Wolves, that will spawn at around 4 minutes 35 to 4 minutes 45. The third camp they do will be the Raptors, let's just say, and that will spawn at around 5 minutes to 5 minutes 10. Now, depending on whether or not they do the red into the Krugs or the Krugs into the red, can kind of flex the final respawn of the Krugs there, the respawn for the next level. Now, for Kayn here, doing the Raptors into the Krugs means he's distorted that very common practice that I push forward in all my courses, all my content, all my coaching, because it's something that you can use to make sure your timers are absolutely beautiful. Now, we're going to finish off our blue buff here, and this is where the most important aspect of the tracking comes in, and I want you to understand this very, very critically. We're looking to go ahead and gank this, but this wave is crashing quite vociferously, and there's no real CC here, right? A Janna, a Vayne, wave pushed in, fast minions, less range now for us to, get those ganks in because this is already spawned, but it will arrive faster, so the time between this wave and that wave is reduced. You've got to really factor these things in when you're ganking whatever jungler you're playing. But also, we know Pantheon has reset to go back to base to heal himself up, so there's no real point even going for this. And we should have been paying attention to this while we did our clear, all right? Now, we're going to go ahead and do this. The Zed obviously has disappeared as well. We see here the Gnar. Boom, boom, boom. Ekko shows up, double over the wall, gets a kill, gets a slow from the Q. Well, now he gets a kill with the passive and the auto attack going through. Auto attack and then passive, obviously, movement speed. Now, this is the most important tracking thing here. You press tab and we can assess and dictate and understand his entire life at this point. Unpack it. The Kayn shows up in wards here. Okay, again, a little bit slow, very, very slow, but think about it. if the Ekko did red into Raptors, at what time will this spawn based upon what I told you earlier? Around 4 minutes 20, because I said the Grump. However, Raptors usually a little bit less than that because they're easier to take closer to the red buff. You know, you kind of just drag it and off you go. However, a good metric, yes? So we know that placing this ward will allow us to understand exactly what the Ekko did. However, here's the most important thing that you really have to understand. When you see this gank at this time, boom, look at the timer there. 351. I know it's small, but it says 351. Okay? He has 24 CS. A full clear is 24 CS. So he must have taken the Scuttle Crab, right? Or did he do a full clear and not take the Scuttle Crab? He did the Scuttle Crab because he has 24 CS and he's level 3. If he had done 24 CS with a full clear, he would be level 4. And that's immediately how we know. So as soon as we finish this up, we press tab, we click here, we have a look, level 3, 24 CS. This means he left an edge camp on the map. But which one did he leave? Think about it. If he did red, Raptors, and path to the top side, as we gank the mid lane here, a little bit of chunk, well, chunk for Zed, we were looking for orbs. Now again, our clear didn't go so well, so off we go, Raptors into the Krugs, and then we can reset. I called this a clean 6 clear a few years ago because it allowed us to take 6 regular camps minus the buffs in the first rotation to get at least one quadrant. This is a quadrant, right? This is a quadrant, this is a quadrant, this and this. It allows us to effectively let the camps that we took first respawn, and then we can take them again before going back to base, and then we can go back down to the other side. We'll catch these respawns, but it also allows us to play around the enemy jungler at a bit more of an advanced level. Not really the point of this video, but that's what the Kayn here is doing. If the Ekko did red into Krugs into Raptors to the top side, that means the Krugs would respawn at around 4 minutes 20, and the Raptors would spawn at around, let's just say 4 minutes 40 for argument's sake. Usually a little bit less with some good champions, at least when they're piloted by regular top tier gorillas. Now, this ward is huge, because if this spawns at 4 minutes 20, we know straight up the guy has left his Krugs on the map and we can go and counter jungle it. If he were to stay here longer, if he were to stay here to push this out, if he were to do whatever that we can see after the kill. Now, of course, that is a very weird example because it's very rarely going to be the case, but it's 4-7 here. Now, you can imagine if these two stay and push, and you go ahead and try and gank this lane, it works, and say the minions are don't give vision away, then of course we could go on down and snack this up, whether it's a respawn or whether it's up anyway. But most importantly, if he did red Raptors and these respawn, that's an easy take, right? You can easily take this and get out. You don't really want to force this counter jungling, wait around too much for it. It's not worth the time invest, especially if it's a level 1 camp anyway. You understand? It's only great if this is a very gankable lane, which of course we discussed is not. So we're not going to basically use this information, but we're going to use it in our brain just to understand what he's going to do next. Now watch this. Look at his HP. Look where he's going. What do you presuppose he's going to be doing right now? If we track intelligently that he has in fact done a 5 camper with a Scuttle Crab, either the Krugs are on the map or the Grumpers on the map. So the Ekko, if the Grumpers on the map, he will go back and take this. If the bottom lane Krugs are available, he will go back to base and he will take those because this will already be down. So we need to get a little bit of information from him. So what we do is we go ahead and we'll do our Raptors. That's fair play, okay? He's also low enough that I feel like this plant here needs to be hit. I want to see what's going on. Because if we weren't entirely sure exactly what he did, if you're unsure of what exactly someone does, you can hit the Scribe's Boom to get some information. Now say you miss, for example. He shows top lane, he ganks it 24 CS, and you're busy down here really fisting and fighting. So let's just say you're not able to click F key and see that he's level 3, but you see 24 CS. So you don't know if this guy actually did this crab or if he left it on the map. In our case, because we did F key, because we did look and we did see 24 CS and level 3, because all we were doing is a Scuttle Crab, we know categorically that he did the top scuttle. We don't even need to look, and we have this ward right here that will give us all the information we need about the map state. So what we can do is essentially just go straight up to the Krugs, all right? And now, so now we know there are 2 possible outcomes, and we see this here with the timer on the minimap. It's popped up now, I'll reveal it to you. This is spawning, and it's spawning quite late. So around, I said 4 minutes 35 to 4 minutes 45 is what it should be, but because he was compromised a little bit with HP, but also maybe he just wasn't clearing properly, this is a late second camp spawn, yes? What does that mean for us? That means he did red, Krugs, Raptors, and 99% left the Grump on the map because he shows top lane with level 3 and 24 CS. So when he goes back down this way, it looks like he's going to go to base. 100%, that could be the telegraph move, but he also could have just as easily fallen down to the Grump. So we have 2 possibilities now as we finish these Krugs. but they all kind of sync up to one thing. Hey, bottom lane, please be careful because he most likely, if he did go back to base here, will be going to take this and then gank bottom lane. So you need to be careful and ping this Krug camp to say, hey, be careful, and ping the pathway. Ping this, and ping this. Ping his movement 3 times. The biggest correlation between a challenger player and their ability to jungle and say anyone else is that you will see the amount of pings increase higher rank they are in terms of communicating enemy jungle movement. You have to let them know, all right? Even if they don't act on it and they don't respect it, you have to, because if they do, you win. Now, if he does this and then goes back to base, hey, we can finish our clean 6, go back to base and match, regardless. So let's see what happens. Most likely this particular stage, we think, all right, the guy probably does grump and goes back to base if he's healthy, but only if we click to see his HP can we make a proper assessment. So the reason we ping this information is this. Look at the wave here, look how it's stacking a little bit, look at the bottom lane using the new minion speed to push in a little bit. We hit the tornado, get the glacial proc. Now I'm really concerned a little bit. Okay, look, I know it's into a wave, I know there's not a lot of movement here, but it's an all-in lane with that Pantheon. A Rek'Sai or a Zac could really go in on this Janna right now at 5 minutes 04. This would be pretty easy for us to gank because the communication was not there. But again, let's watch it in slow motion here, 0.25 speed. We pull back a little bit, maybe a little bit faster than that. We're leaving the base here as Kayn, obviously. We've gotten our Gore Drinker component here, the Ice Spike Whip, and we see the Ekko. We press tab, 28 CS plus a buy. So did he go back to base and do the Krugs and then show up here? Or did he do the Grump, go back to base, go down here, and leave the Krugs? Those are the 2 possibilities. That's all we know from the numbers. However, if we properly F-keyed, as we avoid the gank nicely, of course, wave does help, and intelligence does help a little bit. Good vision there as well. If we use extrapolation, and we click and we see low HP move to the corner, okay, most likely he went back to base after that, and he did this, which means he has a level 1 Grump that has not been taken. That would be my supposition at this particular stage. Now watch this again. Now you've got to click. You're doing the wolves, you're doing your stuff, they're going back to base. Watch where he's going. This was the live coaching session. She's low, all right? We're hitting the 5 minute 30 wave, so she's getting close to 6, really, really close to 6. Zed had to go back to base earlier, so he's a little bit more compromised, but the Syndra dings 6 right now, 5 minutes 30, there we go. Look at the pings here. This was from the live coaching. I said, look, you didn't ping the bottom lane, but they played it well. You need to ping the extrapolation, because if you don't ping your most likely anticipated move of the enemy jungler, your team can't play around it. So what she does is she hugs the top of the wave here. You see this? She's not hugging down, she's hugging the top of the wave. So if the Ekko does show up, she has space to see him and react. There's a W, here he shows, level 4. She moves out of the way, nothing hits. He goes in on the EQ like an idiot, and she basically says, hey, look, you want to take a tower shot and die? Be my guest. And that's exactly what happens. So now basically we know, okay, look, the guy clears the ward, extra CS, +1. We know he most likely did these Krugs into the bottom lane. We can go ahead and do the dragon. And obviously don't put a control ward in the pit with a scanner, and you don't need to because you have the Scry's Bloom anyway. So if you hit the Scry's Bloom, you know it's not warded. Most likely the Ekko didn't ward either because he shot a bottom lane with a scanner to kill the ward, and he didn't have a control ward. So we know when the Ekko goes from the bottom lane all the way through the river to the mid lane, he doesn't leave a ward anywhere. And if we're paying attention, the whole early game, we see the bottom lane hasn't left their lane to go deep warding as well because they also haven't based. And now basically we're going to look here for another gank. We're leaving the dragon. Silly. Silly, silly, silly. We could have easily snuck that. There's no ways the blue team bottom lane was going to rotate to this. We had vision control. We could have put the control ward over here or over here for a bit more protection if we wanted to sneak that away. I know as a Volibear, as a Mundo, I like this play. I like this play because it makes me stronger, it gives my teammates a boon in the mental department, and I basically just have control over the game now. Now after that, the Ekko's question mark is, does he go to the, what I think is a level 1 Gromp into the wolves down to the Raptors because his red's going to be spawning, and then he can leverage that to go to the bottom line? If that is the case, I can just reset off to Dragon here and handle topside business, dive the top laner, and of course, take this. Also, most likely, I can take the respawn of this in 2 minutes 15 time. Basically trying to think about what I want to accomplish on the map. We also now can basically say, look, if he's doing that, then I can go ahead and steal his Raptors. Let me go and have a look. If he is here doing his Raptors, which we see he is, we can basically say, let me push you out, get some orbs. This is a little bit Kayn-like because we want the orbs, we want Rust. We know the Zed has gone back to base, we know the Zed will re-show up with ult, and we know the enemy bot lane is going to move here. So that's very, very important to understand when you make this play. Again, the dragon should be dead. It isn't. And with this pressure, we could actually go for this red invade now, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't, because the Pantheon's collapsing, the enemy jungler will collapse as well, and we saw that directly on the main channel video last week. I'll leave a link below. Rengar was being a hero, goes for that play, actually died. Pantheon's now roaming to help, doesn't understand what's going on. Bot lane does a dragon now, we just go all in here. Remember the Ekko there, we saw him with 33 CS. Now he shows up again with 38 CS. Vayne goes in, exhausts his use, he EQs back in for some particular reason. Kayn doesn't play perfectly, we do die, but overall this is a good outcome for our team. But you have to track the Ekko as always. The Ekko did go and hold mid lane. Did you pay attention to that? As we get another kill here from the Syndra. So this is really good for our team. A good move from a jungler perspective will always put us in a good place. Ekko holds this, right? Doesn't get the minions. But we saw him here. So, 28, 29, death. A bad death, as it were. Boom, 33, holds this, 34. He comes back into this fight after we do dragon with 38. So most likely, what did he do? The wolves. So what's still available? The level 1 Gromp. What's also available? The red, as well as most likely the respawn of the Krugs in my mind. Because if we guessed that he basically went to base here, took this and ganked bottom lane, you can look at that timer. It was 5 minutes 04 when he went for this gank. He just finished the Krugs, let's just say 8 seconds earlier. You can be more conservative if you like. So as we respawn here, where's the Ekko gonna go? You know the guy has now red buff, most likely has Krugs. Has the Grump up at level 1, which is not very valuable for him at all when he's behind. He wants to slingshot that experience, which means when you're behind in the game, taking a level 1 camp is great for the future, but it's not great for now. Taking a level 5 or level 6 camp, that's much better for now, just in terms of infusing a bit of experience. Use the law of jungle physics. 2 is greater than 1. That's all he sees. Red buff plus Krugs versus Grump. Even though the blue is spawning, when he leaves the base, it hasn't spawned, and thus he most likely goes for those things, which means we can easily go ahead and sneak away a Herald. We can also look to go and do things on the top side. We look at this side here, we see the Ekko. Boom, he's doing this. We don't know that at this stage though, right? Remember that. What we're doing here is extrapolating based upon his tendencies, based upon what we think he will do in this MMR range. We burn the ult from the Gnar, but we don't know categorically exactly where he's going to be. We hold that wave off, and now we're basically thinking, okay, there he is. Caught in 4K Galactic HD. And now you're saying, Virkayu, look at the control ward. Results-based. Nah, don't results-based it, my friends. If you have the ward here, you would see him as well. What do we know right now? As we look at this, we know that the guy did his red and Krugs because, again, he went from 38 to 42 to 46, and he has a red buff. So what would the Ekko do most likely, considering you showed on the top side? What do you think he's going to do next? What is the most logical course of action for this Ekko with that information? Into the blue side. Also, the RNG Scuttle's going to spawn. So what can we do immediately to punish this guy on an objective level? Take this, which of course we do. And now, because we know he's most likely going to do that Scuttle, he's going to take that blue buff. We can go ahead and take the Herald. We can also move into his blue side and take all of that, maybe dive the top wave. That's where we have a split here in our jungling ability. We don't go cutthroat. We kind of think the guy's most likely floating back. Maybe they are in silver. But if you're not strong enough to make this invade, and you go for it on the basis of this projection, and instead the Ekko does do the random thing of coming back to this side, you can either fight him and kill him because you're ahead, you can fight him and kill him because you're just a better player, or you can just leave. You don't have to stay and die like a gladiator. You can say, whoa, okay, I guess my blue side is available. Cool. Do I want to do anything here? Nope. Okay, do Raptors, and I can just sequence on down and gank bottom lane, and use the Herald bottom lane, while you're top lane doing nothing, ganking for the ISO island for no reason. You see what I'm saying? Always turn the randomness into a positive. Now, if he is doing that, and we're taking all of this, at least we're doing equal and opposite. So he gets some stuff, I get some stuff, except I get objective control. I'm going to become much stronger. And that's how we use tracking, my friends, to that level to basically control and understand everything that enemy jungles are doing. Ekko now shows up with 55 CS, so we know that the guy has gone ahead and done 46. Kills the ward, 47. Does the Scuttle Crab, 51. Does the blue buff, as we see, 55. Now I know that my Grump and my Wolves are available. So the benefit here is if you want to go for that blue side counter jungling, as of course everyone's now diving and dying in this MMR, well, in every MMR at this point. If you were doing this, yes, we would be losing out a little bit, but you can always go back to base with the empowered recall. So the benefit here for this decision of not counter jungling is that we're able to rotate to this. Don't want to results based again because we don't know exactly what's going to happen, and the Ekko now decides to ditch and leave. So this is a waste of time. We spoke about this in the coaching session. No reason to chase. Why are you chasing? Just leave it. He's like, no, I want to go for it. So we pull out too soon. We get exhausted. Basically a tragic amount of events happening here when we could have just done at least a Grump maybe the wolves and the gromp, wait for Vayne to show up, and then you can now join the lane, go for the dive, activate the herald, do the counter jungling. You got it? So this basically explains everything we need to know on a tracking level for the first 10 minutes in the game. Hopefully you can understand how to totally deconstruct any jungler you might be playing. Thank you very much for watching, and if you want to understand the mid-game savant strategy, or you just simply want to understand how to play in the new meta, click the videos on the top right and the bottom right to teach you all the things.